you. How'd you guys like it?
Yeah.
It was different. That was quite an experience making that movie. We did that. We started writing in January 2006, and we went up to. We stopped shooting in May of this year. So, but like little shots. We got most of it done probably in the span of about 2 months, from January to February. And wow, so many thank yous. The 10 Pounds was kind of like, it was high school kids doing their thing as teenagers. But this movie, to do it as quickly as it was done, at the quality it was done, it really took a huge pool of talent. It was by no means a one-man show. You saw the names up there, but the cast, Jake, John, Ben, just amazing guys to work with. Not a problem in the world. Doug Bergdorf couldn't make the movie without him at all. Awesome guy. Dad Cohen, who I forgot to put in the damn thanks, but he's awesome.
Yeah.
So Frankie, IT, just Diane Lake. It was all just great. And Mark for doing the most incredible makeup. Well, didn't Abel look great, guys?
Yeah.
I mean, if that mask didn't work, I don't think the movie would have worked at all. So, God, thank you, Mark. Man did it for free. It's pretty amazing. You have anything to say? Well, let's start.
So we're going to do a bit of a Q&A. So if anyone has questions, I'm going to run around. If you guys want to raise your hand in the audience, I'm going to get you the microphone.
Yeah.
Frankie's going to answer them. And for a little bit, and then after that, posters, DVDs, signing, you want to talk to anyone who is involved, find out more about a particular aspect.
Some of them are actually
a lot
here.
of them are here.
So great. So anybody, any starter questions, anybody? Just right off the bat? No moms allowed, by the way.
I'm willing
That's
to
rule.
talk to anyone.
If you're a mom, you can't ask a question because it makes us look pathetic.
I don't care how far back in the back.
Chris, one of the writers, has a question.
Oh my God, I gotta walk.
What's the deal with you and producer Nina Shaleski?
Christian wedding this May. Yeah. Wow.
Oh.
Shut up.
I really love the opening credits. I mean, right from the beginning, it was really professional, and I wondered who did the drawings because they were absolutely fabulous, and I thought it was a really good way.
Yeah, isn't that a great piece of art? Let me put it in the light a little bit better. This was done by Alan Damaris, who's sitting right behind you diagonally. There's a funny story behind this because I think in the original script, the opening credits were supposed to be just sort of a developing sonogram of a Humonkey. And we didn't really quite know how we were going to do it. We were going to make it really vague, and maybe it was going to be a boring credit sequence, but it would be nice music. But somewhere along the way, we got the idea to do a series of artwork, of like historical artwork almost. Now, Alan is like the most amazing artist I know, so I went to him originally, and he's like, well, I can't do, because I wanted it almost in that sort of like traily Charlotte's Web, like this is going to be the best family film you'll ever see, and then kill Hoffman at the end. And but he's like, well, I can sort of do it in that style, but it's got to be cartoony. That's what I draw. And I'm like, you've never shown me anything you've drawn that I didn't like, so why don't you just do it? So we got a big thing of like 24 by 19 paper. He whipped it out in maybe a day, just sketching, making jokes as he's sketching, and there it was one day. I was like, oh, wow. And scanned it in at Office Max, which came out awful because they had to do it in like little pieces. Because we didn't have a big enough scanner, right? So then we were going to be like, this Office Max guy is really nice, but no, it's really. Yeah, but instead you ended up scanning it in pieces. You went over the whole thing in actual pen. What you're seeing up there is, not right there, up here, is pen. Those are real pen marks. And then he went in, did all the shading, and I think he was doing it, did the coloring for like a day straight. And MS Paint again. I don't think he ever wants to look at that drawing again. But fantastic job, Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get Alex on here. Just yell at Alex. Oh, sorry.
How did you come up with the idea for Ava?
That's a good question. And like a lot of the other projects I've done, I have solid answers for that. But then this, I think we were having some kind of conversation back in high school when we were making the first movie that we made, I Need to Lose 10 Pounds. where somebody was like, "Hey, I bet you could mate a human in an egg." I was like, "No, you couldn't. And why are you talking to me?" And but then whoever was saying that gave me the idea. So that was just a great vehicle for a plot, for a story. But not so much who ate away. I'm not so much interested in whether or not it's scientifically possible. I'm more interested in how would people respond to the thing. Let's say it got born, right? You'd have all these conservatives that are like, well, it's half a soul, can't abort it. And you'd have all these sort of environmentalists, animal rights people trying to protect that side of it. And I bet you the thing would live. And I bet you it would go to school and everyone would try to just treat it normally and try not to call attention to it. And that's where we got the idea, well, how about this one guy is calling attention to how insane this is? I mean, like, we want to be PC, sure, but this thing shouldn't have been born. Like, how did this happen? And that's the movie right there. And it was, you know, and as far as taking the sort of liberal college student direction with it, I knew that I wanted my friend Jake Emanuel, somewhere here. Yeah, there he is. I wanted him to be the star, and I said, well, he can't be like an adult supervisor because Jake's a little too young for that. What if he's like a liberal college kid that just wants to save the world and prove that this thing is a human? And I was like, great, I'll play the Humonkey and we'll have a great movie. A year and a half later, I'm talking to you guys. And it's literally how it went down. And that was cool. It was fun. And Jake did an awesome job, I think.
Yeah, Jake.
You right, Jake? Love Ted. Questions? Yeah, go ahead. That was the Quincy Christmas parade.
Anyone here go to that? Was there anyone actually there?
Doug was.
You guys used to go to it.
Doug was.
Yeah. It was one of those situations. Oh, by the way, thank you for coming to a Christmas movie in July. We really appreciate that. But poor planning on our part. Sorry, guys. We should have pushed it back.
Never mind.
But yeah, it was actually the first shoot. We shot it in November, and the rest of principal photography would be in January. But we decided, well, there's going to be this huge parade happening in Quincy. If we just go there and shoot the parade just as almost like a news team, and we'll put the actors out in front as it goes by, there'll be a fantastic team with high production value. That's what's interesting about, that's the interesting thing about having to get your head around making a movie for $1,500, which was the final budget. The budget was provided by Nina. Why, Nina? Tell them how you have so much money. She gets so much scholarships that she almost gets paid to come to this place. So she's like, this is blood money. I'm putting it in a movie. Blood money. and then of course John Hunt bought the camera and did all the sort of company investments, and that costs a heck of a lot. So, and unfortunately he can't. John Hunt was he played the principal in the movie. A lot of you already know him, and he wrote the music, did a fantastic job. Couldn't be here tonight. Why? Because he's at like a anime convention in Maryland. He's actually, he's on a panel right now.
So he's not just going to hang out with the people who watch anime, he's like their preacher.
He's like Lord of the Nerds right now. We're spiritually combating as we speak, as we address our audiences. But yeah, so back to the parade. We just said, let's just go out there and shoot it, and that'll be that. And when we wrote this movie I wrote this movie with four other people: Nina, Chris Shaleski, her brother, and the famous Sadek twins, Jake and Keith. And we kind of broke it down like into 10 meetings, just trying to come up with plots and ways to make it work. And if you go into one of these cheap movies thinking, well, let's make sure that it's shootable, let's make sure that it is nice and cheap, you're just going to get a bunch of scenes in someone's room, you know, and you're going to get like a sitcom. And while we were going for that sort of like family sitcom thing, we wanted to give it a little bit more scope, keep the movie moving. I mean, it was 83 minutes. Hopefully it didn't feel that way. And that's because we wanted to keep it moving, location by location. And make you take for granted how many locations we're getting. And the parade is a great example of that. Because if we had said, oh, we can't shoot a parade, let's figure something else out, then we wouldn't have tried, you know. And so if anybody here's a screenwriter, I really encourage that first pass. Don't think about that. Then you can go back in and you can be like, well, that's not going to work. Like the police station shoot, for instance. That was originally like a town meeting. They said, well, I'm not going through the trouble of getting extras again. Let's just put it in a police station. And so that, it works well, but it's great to have a parade. Al.
If I could just ask a generic question, what's your favorite part
About the experience, or like what my favorite scene was? the whole damn thing. It was being able to like just pump out a movie this quickly. Because we shot for 5 months, for all intents and purposes. And just seeing, like, having everybody be that there for me, like, nobody gave me crap on this movie whatsoever. It was insane. And none of them were getting paid. It was just awesome to see it just get made daily. And also to be able to go, a lot of you know, I'm a film student at Emerson, and to be able to sort of share that with my film professors on a daily basis and actually have them care. Like people like Diane Lake, she's actually in the audience today, drove an hour down.
Yeah.
Just to support us. And it's really, yeah. That was my favorite
You guys know what's great for listening? You don't get the microphone anymore. Frankie's just gonna call on it.
Yeah, it like, because so many people have access to this equipment now, these digital cameras and digital editing systems, everybody's making a movie, right? So it's kind of hard to care after a while. I hear people all the time wanting to make new movies, and it's at first I'm sort of interested, and it's hard to keep up with what they're doing and to say, oh, yeah, I'm interested in this, because there's too many going on. So to be a person that was able to see it from beginning to end, and everybody I wanted to involve did care from beginning to end. And like I was talking to some people outside earlier. A lot of people who worked on this were acting and film students. They have their own agendas too. They're acting in a lot of the actors who were in the movie aren't here today because apparently they're extras on a Denzel Washington movie in Boston. So they're doing their own thing. What's the name of it? I have no idea. I just got like 10 emails this morning that were like, I can't, I'm in a Denzel Washington movie produced by Oprah. I was like, what movie is that? And why can't you come to the
Because we couldn't pay them $75 to be here.
Yeah, they were paid $75. Is everything else? Hey, we got some celebrity cameos in the movie. Did anyone notice any? Lloyd Kaufman was in there. He's the director of Toxic Avengers and B movies, and Diane Lake was in the damn movie. She was she wrote Frida. Take it.
When you go out and buy the DVD, right? Because you're all going to buy it, and then when you watch it later at home, you'll get the joke. She wrote Frida.
Yeah, when she goes, there's this movie I want you to see. It's called Frida. The only people that laugh were like the Bostonians. Like,
But now you're all in on the joke.
yeah, it's far. No. Just English. English are on there. 'Cause I know deaf people. Yeah, who did it? I bet you're going to ask. The same guy who drew the picture. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I think like most people go into film school saying writer director. That's sort of the glamorous idea, right? Because they kind of go hand in hand. Because they're both. You're a storyteller when you direct and when you write. And for me, it never. Like to this day, I'm sort of childish and naive in that way, where I don't really. I don't get as thrilled about the idea of directing something I didn't write, but it can also be a lot of fun. And you know, like we had a lot of people that are writers on this film that acted and played a huge part in it. And Doug was an editor, and you know, he's a writer as well. So it was cool to see them get excited about it. I bet I could get excited about somebody else's projects as well. But I'm never going to limit what I can. I'm moving to LA in September. And yeah, whatever comes my way, I'm not gonna limit myself in what comes about. But yeah, ideally, writer director. Yeah, absolutely. The most glamorous. It's tough. People ask you, they're like, what part of filmmaking do you want? And you don't want to be like writer director because you just feel like that guy that's still too naive. But I got tired of being self-conscious about it, so my answer now is film god. Film god. Then I showed them this movie and they don't talk to me very much.
We have an actress question.
Ooh.
What was the funnest scene for you to shoot?
The most fun? Probably when Jake and Ben are outside the window crying. Oh, and there was one other. That was really fun because we took like 2 takes of each of them. It went very quickly, and they were just screaming at the top of their lungs. We live in this sort of like this small neighborhood in Brighton, and everybody could hear us. And they just like One thing that's great about Jake is he does not give a damn how loud he's going to be. Like he will be as loud as you want him to be. And another good example about that is the one where he's at Paul Revere's grave. And we went into the graveyard to shoot right next to it. Like we started shooting where he kind of jogs up, and then the security guard came over and kicked us out because it was closing, not because they hated us. Like you're dead, you know, he's an American hero. Get out of here. So we had to do the whole thing right outside the gates, and it worked way better because we were able to get those wide shots where everybody just doesn't care about what Jake's saying, you know, and he's still screaming, and that is not ADR. Jake is screaming at the top of his lungs, and we're across the street with a camera, and nobody can see that we're doing a film shoot. So as far as I know, he's just excited as hell about what he's saying. It took the scene in a totally new direction where it was like, now he's just this ranting moron. That was fun. That character was so much fun because we needed to create a new kind of jerk that we've never seen before. You could go for like the stereotypical jerk that we've all seen and we see in movies, but we wanted to create like a whole new one, a whole new set of aggravations. This guy that the fact that his intentions are so good bugs the crap out of you. After a while, you just don't want to hear about his intentions anymore. And I think that's why a lot of people really cling on to Hoffman, because they're like, well, he's the one who makes sense, and you're framing him as the villain. Let me kill him. Kill him for his intelligence. Well, that was the most fun for me. And also that whole sequence, when they're outside crying, and then it becomes that typical second act montage, where everybody's sad. And we're singing that song, you know, you can cry at night. We were supposed to do a live performance for you guys. That was going to be a big surprise, but then Nicole got sick. Very sad. Maybe someday.
Solo!
It'll be alright. Just come on me. Yeah. Yeah, oh, that's a great question. Absolutely. But in an extremely weird way. So the mess came in like the day of shooting, because Mark had to, like anything, like the DVD, getting it to you guys today, I had to scramble all week long everything comes in at the very last minute. And Mark had been spending just night after night after night trying to crank this thing out, painting it, just getting the veins just right, getting the snot to drip down right. And it's a very careful art, is it not, Mark? Okay. So,
He just said he was working on snot for like weeks. Like, how's he going to be like, yes, it's very careful art. No,
shut up, Frank. So we get the mask in, and we're like, cool, but we didn't really get a chance to play with it. Because naturally, like, I wanted, and that thing was fit right for my face. We went over to where he goes to school in Pennsylvania and got a head cast. So that thing fits right, like it suctions my face so that when I move, it moves. It was really cool. But I wanted to like go jogging with it, go shop with it, and like just sort of live as Abel for a little while. Didn't get a chance to do that. So the first day of shooting was sort of the first day that we got to, that I even got to experience who the hell Abel was. I remember we were hanging out at Heinz Convention Center waiting for Jake to show up to the shoot. And he kind of comes in, and he sees me, and he's like, haha, looks awesome. And he's like, so you're basically just a retard? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, all right. And then the thing we were shooting that day was that scene where we walk all around Boston, it's sightseeing, right? And we didn't plan the shots out. It was really cool. Doug Bergdorf, who was the director of photography, was able to shoot with the camera on rollerblades. $4,000 camera on rollerblades. I trust the man. And he would just kind of whip downhill with the camera, get these sweeping shots. I thought all those really cool shots were achieved. And Jake and I were just walking around Boston improvising as Ted and Abo. There are some great outtakes. Hopefully someday you'll get to see them on another DVD or something. But of us interacting with like the meter man and like the local shopkeep. Just going right up to them and talking to them like we've known them for years and they hate us. And because those guys kind of got it because they saw the camera. Again, the guys who didn't see the camera, remember it's a really low maintenance film shoot. They thought I was deformed. They did not understand that this was a mask and this was a film shoot. Because, and like, maybe if they looked right at it, they'd be like, oh, it's a freaking mask. But they never got to get that close, and I was sort of wearing like the hat and the trench coat, and I think they thought that I was just kind of like a Ninja Turtle in disguise or something. And so they kind of be glancing away.
Everyone's trying to be very respectful.
And I'd always be like, look at that dude. He doesn't want to look at me. And we'd get on the tee, and I'd just be like kind of like chatting like very intelligently as Avo. That was really fun to be like a proper intelligent Avo. Which always blew people's minds. And then finally they would see the damn camera and they'd be like, oh my god, it's a film shoot, it's a mask, thank god. You're hideous.
And then after that, they would stare.
What's that?
And then came the stares. After they knew it was a mask, they didn't mind staring.
Yeah, then it'd be like,
What's it made of?
can I touch it? Oh! Because it was made out of foam latex, which is the stuff that, again, makes it stretchy. If you bought a liquid latex mask, that's the kind of stuff you would buy during Halloween time in like Spencer's or something. Just something to throw on. But this thing was made out of foam. So
Wait,
they would touch it and be like slimy.
Yeah, well, something to note about people is whenever they did touch it, they went right for the snot. Always touch the snot first. Like, what's
It's hard.
What's that about?
What is it? Rubber cement.
I thought it was snot.
What?
I thought it was snot.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was snot. That
You
when I
guys,
touch it.
you guys are hyper real, man. That was how they reacted to us. They couldn't believe it kind of like it blurred the line of reality, and because even once they figured out as a film thing, they were like, well, but you're not a big crew, you know, you're just like three guys, and yet how is the mask so good? Like I don't know, it just messed with what's real and what's not for a little while. So it's really fun, great experience. Sort of the behind the scenes of this is almost as fun as the movie itself, which you can all check out on YouTube. The like an hour and a half of stuff, video blogs. It's all on the DVD too, full quality. Yeah.
Very cool. What happens with the movie now?
That's a really good question, Dad.
You only said no.
That's true. I only said no moms. For those of you who know that I Need to Lose 10 Pounds got distributed with Trauma, the small independent studio out in New York. They do B genre, low budget gore. You know, that's what they do, and it's just not a horror movie. It's not a science fiction or anything. I mean, it sort of has those tendencies, but it's a family film parody. It doesn't really fit their genre, so we just don't want to go with them. I mean, it was really exciting. I didn't get to tell you guys at the last premiere, but we found out later on that I Need to Lose 10 Pounds won Trauma Dance 2006, which was like huge. Yeah. It came out later. A year later, I got an email. I was like, oh, by the way, you won. I was like, what did I win? They're like $1,000 in film stock. I was like, I'm shooting digital. But yeah, so they're definitely an option, and even Lloyd's in the movie, which is really cool. But it just doesn't feel right to go with them this time. It doesn't feel like it's a fit. So what the money you've been throwing at us before you came into the theater is specifically for, and all the DVD sales and everything is for festival submissions. Right, because film festivals cost like anywhere between 30 and 50 generally for a submission, and we want to try to get it in as many as possible. And sort of that's the route most feature films take, where you're trying to find your distributor based on what film festivals you get. And the one I'm really aiming for is Slam Dance. I really would love to get this Slam Dance. So we'll see what happens. I think the deadline's in August, so see what happens. Wish me luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah. Nah.
Any plans for the next one?
Yeah, I'm not making another feature after this. Oh yeah, hopefully again. But I mean, like, I'm not doing it under like with the girlfriend's money and that kind of thing. I don't think we've done 2 now. I Need to Lose 10 Pounds took 6 years off my life as well. And it was like after we finished that, I said, okay, I got 2.5 more years of college. I met all these new people that had nothing to do with my first movie. Let's make another one really quick. Now that we have it right, let's make it way better. And that will sort of like be the sort of college film opus that I do. And that was the decision we made. But now that that's done, I would really love to hold it. I'm moving to LA and I'm trying to start a career. I think this is good. I'm really proud of this movie. I love this movie. I think it's like 5 times better than I Need to Lose 10 Pounds. And I really want to use it as my resume piece. And I want this to sell me. And in whatever screenplays I end up getting in my back pocket too, which is, now is the time to write. I'm just going to write screenplays. And hopefully one of those will get produced, directed by somebody else who cares. Bought, I don't care. I want to start a career with movies. If you want to know what ideas we have, there's this movie we were thinking about writing called Board of Trustees, which is it's this thing about basically these kids that used to be in this really awful high school, like basically kind of like a Westport high school.
For those of you that attended.
They decide that once they become super wealthy, which we're all going to do, they're going to go back to their old high school, get on the Board of Trustees, and just wreak havoc on the place and do ludicrous things to their old high school. I'm not talking about things like we're going to sell eclairs during history. No, I'm talking about they're going to put up LCD monitors with their face in the gymnasium going, no, no, no.
And carpet the gym.
And carpet the gym. They're going to ruin the place, and eventually there will be no education again. Cool. Do we have time for one more question, I think? Yeah. Who should we? Alexander, you doing it?
I had two questions. Where
Do
did you
that
get all
one.
that footage for the, while they were
For the prologue?
Yeah, while they were manufacturing the...
All-stock.com.
Okay.
I didn't steal it, I swear.
And what was your favorite quote in the entire movie?
He was my son! Jake. Anything Jake said was my favorite quote in the movie. I cracked up at every single line in the movie. And I know most people are like, I love Willie and Hoffman, but I'm a Ted man. If I went to a club, I'd look for a Ted. Alan, do you have the last one? I think I wanted them, there's always things we do differently, but I think this was as perfectly as I could have made things go. It was so, it was just so damn smooth. It was really just the best experience of my life. I want to just thank everybody for coming, everybody who participated in the movie. You guys made my life, so thanks very much. The idea for Holly's character? We were flying to Trauma Dance 2006, the film festival, and I was watching that movie, Dreamer. The Bostonians laugh. And I was like, I think we need to put a Fanning in our movie. Instead, we got Holly the British girl. All right, thanks guys. Thank you so much.